Let's move on to AEW Dynamite, which I said towards the start of the show that I thought that out of all the TV wrestling this week, AEW once again, with the empty arena shows, is doing the best job of it. Tony Schiavone and Chris Jericho on commentary, for the most part, continues just to be an absolute home run. I wish Chris showed me a couple things on commentary that I took note of.
Okay.
He can be, once he retires, he can be sort of a heel-ish but more middle-of-the-road commentator, which he showed at times on AEW Dynamite.
Uh-huh.
But what I wish he had done more of in this one is what he did right at the start of the episode when they were showing the bracket for the TNT title tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And he wished that both Darby Allin and Cody Rhodes just took themselves out, and that it would be best for the fans, and certainly best for Chris Jericho. Like, very over the top, like not rooting for any of the baby faces kind of deal because of his history. Yeah. It was a little bit jarring because he went from that to then like putting Darby Allin over and how like he's earned his respect and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Sort of that more middle of the road commentator. But he definitely he showed that he has both gears there. And I just, he's such a big star that I don't know if that's what his future will hold after he finishes wrestling. Obviously, he's got the rock and roll stuff with Fozzy, and he's just such a entrepreneur outside of the ring anyway. Yeah. But if he wanted to be, he could be an absolutely top-tier pro wrestling color commentator. That is for sure,
Well, and what I like about his commentary, like some of the pop culture or music entertainment references he makes, it's awesome. Like, when Britt Baker was bleeding, making the Kiss reference a couple weeks ago. This week, that one like guy in the ring, Baron Black, he's like, I hung out with a Baron Black, or saw Baron Black at a death metal festival in 2009. And Tony Schiavone was like, what death metal festival? He's like, yeah, you should come with me sometime. I was just like laughing so hard, and I was like, oh, Jimbo, you and I, we hung out with Jericho at a music festival, so we got that in our books with hanging out with Jericho. But just these references of like music and entertainment, it's very fitting. Like he even like Schiavone made a reference to like some of the wrestlers, like he has a knack for this, and then Jericho's like, yeah, my Sharona, and he's like, there's a 70s reference for you. Like, so he acknowledges like he's making like these older references and just poking at himself too. Just like all these little jabs he does throughout the night, I'm laughing so hard. I love it. And it's interesting because you just talked about like maybe life after wrestling if you do commentary. Total side note. So I was rewatching the episode this morning, and my brother comes in and he hears Schiavone doing the commentary, and he's like, man, sounds like 1996 Nitro right now. And I was like, if you think about like when Schiavone was doing the commentary back in the 90s, with Bobby the Brain Heenan or even Larry Sabisco, you think about Larry Sabisco was his late 40s then. I mean, Jericho's what, 49, 50? So it's like he's at that age theoretically where a lot of these wrestlers transition in the commentary. So if that's an option he wants to explore, he's kind of at that point in his career, he could totally do it. And that's another trippy thing, just thinking about like guys that we grew up with who were older back then and where they're at now. I mean, it's just like just putting the pieces together like that. But I cannot. I love it. I know this week they're going to be live as well in Jacksonville, and Jim Ross said he's coming back this week, and I wonder if Excalibur is going to be there. So like maybe they might have like the their original commentary team. But I hope we still get more of Jericho and Schiavone down the road. Like I hope that's not the end of it after this week. I want more of it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And again, it was very fun. The best commentary on any show this week, certainly. And again, Tony Schiavone, in my opinion, since the inception of AEW, has been the best part of the broadcast. I really just have enjoyed him. And I've loved this TNT Championship tournament. We got two great matches in it in the semifinals with Cody Allen and Darby Allin. Excuse me, with Cody Rhodes and Darby Allin in the semifinals here. And, match 3, the rubber match, as it were, here. And, Cody prevailing. I was a little surprised about that. I get the call because, Cody is the draw in box office right now, but Darby Allin is such a rising star. So, this one was one of those ones that, could have really gone either way. I think they had a very, very, very strong showing in their third match together. I thought both men came off looking like $1 million. And I think I think they could have stuck the landing maybe a little bit better on the finish. I like the creativity of it. Coffin drop into the crucifix pin. It didn't look maybe as clean as I think they had it drawn up in their heads. But I get it, and I thought this was very, very good. And with Cody moving on, it makes total sense, especially given what happened in the main event. But even in the waiting, you have Cody moving on to the finals here, and then you have waiting in the wings either his brother or Lance Archer, whose sole purpose, according to Jake Roberts, has been to sort of take from Cody. So it's you've got a sort of win-win situation in terms of storytelling on the other side of the bracket. And then so I really enjoyed this first match here.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. I think that finish, as you said, for Cody's match, not as clean as they wanted. I think it just shows its experience versus someone a little bit younger in the business. So Cody just outsmarted him at his veteran age. He just, sure, the guy did like one of his finishers, but Cody just rolled him up after it. And that's the strategy I interpret how that finish was supposed to be played out. And Cody's done that before. I think other times someone tried to jump on him and he lifted his knees up and rolled someone up. So I like that. I like that sometimes you might not have a finisher to end the match. You can just outsmart someone and get the victory. And that's just, I think, smart storytelling. Just as far as legitimizing this sport of how you can just outsmart someone to pull out a victory. That's all you need. So with the main event, Archer versus Dustin. I love the story that they were telling there, as far as just he was dominating against Dustin the whole time. Lance was, and got him busted open, and eventually it was at the one point where Cody comes out and was like, should he throw the towel in for his brother? But Lance was like bashing his head into the ring mat, and was like eventually got the pin from it. I was kind of hoping maybe Lance was like continuously just busting the head into the ring until finally Dustin was just passed out, and that's how he won. And then it's almost like Rocky IV-esque.
Which they've overdone a little bit in AEW in general. The whole throw in the towel bit. I feel like in just their inception here in their first year of existence, they've done the throw in the towel thing a couple times now. Mm-hmm. And, I definitely think it worked in the main event. I really, really like the main event here, and I think Dustin Rhodes just continues to be an ageless wonder with his ability to continue to just put on some of the best matches of his career this late. And Lance Archer came off looking great. Dustin Rhodes came off looking credible, while ultimately putting over, as you said, sort of like Rocky IV, the Ivan Drago kind of character here.
I would imagine Lance winning, becoming the first ever TNT champion. And then do you think Cody, very much like going back with the Rocky reference, like Rocky III, he gets beaten badly and you got to kind of rebuild him that way?
I liked that Lance kicked out at 1 on the Crossroads, because it sows that seed of doubt. Like, man, can Cody even put this guy down with his finisher? I like that very much. It's funny is that with the final, I can go either way on it, because Cody, Cody can't challenge for the main championship now, and we've discussed at length why that's a good thing for right now, because it sort of adds legitimacy that, hey, I didn't just start a promotion just to make myself world champion of my own promotion that I created kind of deal. It's not this, it's not that kind of deal. While still being super over, he's still obviously a heavy focal point of the show, and and for good reason, because he's a fantastic storyteller. So going into the TNT Championship, it's not, it's their second tier title. I think that I would not be surprised if Cody somehow gets a victory and becomes the inaugural TNT champion. That being said, it would make an equal amount of sense for Lance Archer to prevail, but then you have Cody coming up short in another big spot in AEW, which he's done a few times, already. But I think the good thing there is that it can go either way. It's that buy-in factor, that get your popcorn ready. Like, which way is this going to go? They've written themselves into a very thrilling, compelling conclusion here. So we will see how that plays out, but it will be Lance Archer versus Cody for that TNT Championship.